Welcome to Wivenhoe, cultural centre of Essex and cauldron of the arts. Tranquil as it may appear on the surface, the little riverside town has a turbulent past, surviving floods, an earthquake and plagues of commuters. Despite these obstacles, Wivenhoe has gone on to prosper in the arts. Among those luminaries whom Wivenhoe inspired or became home to are Francis Bacon, Guy Taplin, James Dodds and Joan Hickson. But what is it that draws these people to draw, and indeed paint here? Is it really a safe harbour where one can drop anchor and settle into the soft mud of tranquillity, taking up the arts as we do so?
Yep.
We talk to local people about the arts. We ask them about the town and each other. We wanted to discover what answers lie in the riverbed of life, at the ebb and flow of the tide through Wivenhoe.
That was all fields here when I was a boy, a couple of 3 years ago.
But it still is fields, Ted.
Yep, that is. But that seemed different, doesn't it, eh?
Art's a funny sort of thing that get you in a stew. That's very hard to talk about, but difficult to do. When you talk to an artist that's a penny to a pound, he's turned his mental grill off before his toast was browned. Now, there's a lot of art and artists in Wivenhoe, and there's a fair amount of women too. Now, I don't think them two things are wholly disconnected. Do you?
I've been a councillor here for ages, and I've campaigned successfully for lead-free pencils in our schools, disabled line dancing for the asylum seekers, and set working hour limits for unemployed poets. But my chief concern at the moment is to ban GMTV. I was horrified to discover that we've got it right here on our doorstep, so I organised a pressure group. It's called Wivenhovians Are Not Capitulating, and a load of us drove into Colchester and revved our cars up outside the town hall for ages to show our concern for the environment. I never let my children watch genetically modified TV. I think it just demonstrates how cynical they are, these so-called multinationals. They think they can get away with it.
Ladies are hard to deal with. If you're talking to them, you say, when you get past about 40, what you do is you start to look at a woman like she's a piece of livestock. You might walk round the back, have a look at the haunches, see how she'd stand up to drop a couple of 3 calves. And you might ask her out. Now, as a way of demonstrating my seriousness of intention to a lady, I would take her round, say, some South African clean peaches and a tin of evaporated milk. Only after she'd gone, after that young lady who was caught in the spark had gone, my mum would take down this huge book off the top shelf, and that was The Woman's Home Doctor, 1937. And she'd say to me, page 41 to 43, don't tear none of the drawings out, and I want that back in the morning. And that was all the sex education you had, you see. I'm just now going to do Sybil Headlam's garden. That's a job that I do sometimes. The world is full of many different people all doing various things, as I so often say. So I'm now going in to do it, you see. That's it, old tradesman engine.
In the tranquillity of her garden, the literary lioness and an actor take tea.
So your career's rather taken off, hasn't it?
Yes, well, if you call writing for the Australian market taking off.
Can't
but
trust
yes,
Australians.
Can't complain, really.
Yes.
'Tis bringing in the money.
What's the latest book called?
Well, my title is Horse Stories for Disabled Girls.
Oh, how pretty.
But the Australian publishers have chosen a different.
Well, they would.
So when was the last time you trod the boards, as it were, Gavin?
I've just had, actually, an audition, which was, I think, rather successful, actually. It was for, I was auditioning as a toothbrush for a pet food Plaque advert. It was like Plaque, dogs don't bark with Plaque, or something like that. And,
You are extraordinary.
well, yes.
How on
I
earth
think
do you become a toothbrush?
Well, I think costume, and of course the fact that we were trained so well in the 50s. I think you can stretch your character to anything, and then a toothbrush for a dog tooth cleaner advert is just it's bread and butter money, isn't it? Really?
Yes.
It's better than the Marmite advert I did.
Oh, really?
Spreads everywhere, whatever.
And you got that one, did you, the Marmite?
No.
Yeah, my name's Rocco, I came here, one weekend in, God, you know, hell of a weekend though, you know, it's 71, something like that, you know. Party, I think, yeah. Great days.
So I don't think the art scene in Wivenhoe is quite what it used to be.
Totally not. Absolutely, totally not. I mean, I went to an exhibition the other day and I thought I'd walked into the Co-op.
Really?
Well, it was just about as colourful.
It's you know, the milkmen, they wouldn't, I had a kind of problem with them because they wouldn't deliver vodka.
Muck.
I remember the old days of the arts clubs.
Oh, yes. I mean, most people didn't do any art there, did they? They drank and they swapped partners.
No, but it was a social occasion.
Yes, it was a social occasion.
And I think people sparked each other off.
They did, into divorce, usually.
Gig. So, down there, I think. Meet the other guys later.
You know, great art often comes out of conflict.
Well, it does, doesn't it? Yes. Do I go to the off-licence or do I go to the pub? Conflict. I'll go and paint a picture. Yes.
And I think there's so much analysing these days, and analysing
soul
people
searching.
and people
most of them, quite honestly, haven't got souls to search, really, have they?
No.
A little flick with a duster would sort of sort most of their souls out, I feel.
So I'm doing the gig here, yeah? Yeah. Yeah, it's this is not the gig, is it?
No,
I'm not doing it here.
No.
Right, cool. So what is this place? Is this the people?
This is the post office.
These are the people who are getting my letters and stuff, yeah?
That's right. That's where you come to post your letters.
These are the guys who bang on my door in the morning, yeah?
On the other hand, I do think Wivenhoe is extraordinary from the point of view that it does attract artists.
It attracts artists, they arrive and they don't paint anymore. A bit
Oh,
like
I don't know,
Flypaper.
Gavin.
Of course, we've got Dudley Whitten-Tritton, haven't we?
Yes, absolutely. The thing
Poor
about
Dudley.
I think he could have been a great artist if only he'd known how to paint.
He can't paint at all. He
No.
can't do anything.
No.
Daubs.
Yes.
It's just up the road up here, all right?
Yeah, okay, cheers, baby.
Okay, that's all right. No
So,
problem.
come to the show. I come backstage.
Will do. Love to. Bye.
It has been said that some of Wivenhoe's artists have been left on mud banks by the neap tide of art. How do they see themselves next to their more successful peers? How do they see society? And how on earth do they manage to earn a living? We asked Dudley for an insight into the heyday of the Wivenhoe artist, the 1960s, when easy living was the canvas on which they painted, and the Wivenhoe art scene was the easel on which they mounted each other's work.
It's all too long ago. I can't remember a thing.
Oh. There's Ted. Lovely old man.
I don't think so. Horrible little thing. Smells. Can't read. Never comes near. Can't see a book.
He's very local though, isn't he?
Too local.
This is the bookshop, and as you can see they're selling books. Now, I don't know too much about books, but Mrs. Sybil Hednam does, you see, because she's a nice woman. She know a couple of three things about writing. But Monty Thorogood said to me, "Now Ted, have you ever read a book?" And I said, "I haven't read many of them." But he said, "Well, there's a book." And he said, "I got one book, and that's called J.P. Sartre's The Age of Reason." And I said, "Oh, yep. I said, "Is that any good?" He said, "Ted, that's a book and a half." Yeah. Hello, the Wivenhoe Bookshop. I'm not sure. Ginny, do we have Wittgenstein's curtain rod?
Yes, it's £27.
It's £27. No, I'm afraid we don't deliver. But if you only live in Alma Street, can't you walk round? No, certainly not. And anyway, I don't wear the sort of garment which you're describing. No, I'm sorry. No, certainly not. No, goodbye. Disgusting. Really.
So this is like, you know, Ziggy Morrison's studio. He seems like a nice guy. He's sort of young, like, you know, what do they call it? You know, when a guy makes a lot of money or something like that, you know, like a businessman, yeah.
The amazing thing is that they want to turn this, like some of the people in WIVENHOE, into an opera house. Like that, opera. Essex opera. They don't know what opera is.
My name is Ronald Hovis. I arrived here in 1993. I was formerly the president of Banshaw Corporation in Bucharest. This was the largest provider of bread to the city of Bucharest and the districts therein.
I say, forget it, right? What it wants to be is a nice club. Club! Club! And there's three types of people in WIVENHOE. There's your geniuses, there's your artists, and there's your homosexuals.
You know that in this country here you have a lot of problems with these asylum refugees. They are illegally coming in, some not illegally, but a lot of the illegal ones are being helped to come here by my old friend Stoyan Ilivich. And we want now to try to develop this idea to help them and to help this nice village of WIVENHOE to be more on the map. We plan as follows. First of all, this beautiful church, we want to turn into multiplex cinema for about 500 people. Secondly, across here, you will see these marshes. We want to build here a large brick towers like you have in the university. These big towers right along the coastline here. And thirdly, we want to take this field. It's from the King George, the King George V field here, to put in prefabricated homes for the asylum people to live in.
Yeah, I'm not stereophonic. I don't think of homosexuals in a funny way. But what they like, right, basically, is jiggabooing all night, like kind of with your pippers and your poppers up your nose and everything else and prancing around like a nothing. It's built for it.
And we will not have problems because we have discussion. I have personal discussion with the council offices in cafes and pubs, and they are liking me. They like the way that I operate, similar to what I did in Bucharest. And we will get the permission because now these are brownfield sites. So my plan is to turn this place of WIVENHOE into WIVENHOE City, Asylum City of the East.
It's built for it. It's made for it. Look, it's even got ivy on it. They like flowers.
You'll often find where a house is expensive, and there's two chaps who might have bought a house each, maybe even 10 years ago. Well, now you'll get two chaps buying a house together, and they'll buy that house and they'll go and live in it. And some of them are getting quite good at curtains and interior decor. And see, I worry about it because I think the council ought to sort of put a block on it. So after 2 years, if one of them hasn't moved out with a woman. But you see, quite often they don't. I think they like it. The two chaps living together, there's nothing wrong with it. But that couldn't have happened. That couldn't have happened in the old days.
There's always been a friendly rivalry between WIVENHOE and Rowhedge, the village on the other side of the River Colne.
My dad used to say about Rowhedge, well, it's an old saying round WIVENHOE, Rowhedge is like another country. They do things differently there. But for the last several hundred years, there's never been a bridge there except during the First World War. And the council was against that, but they put that up and they said that's for the soldiers, you see. But they was northern soldiers, so I believe they swung that through on a livestock licence. I think, in a way, although WIVENHOE has changed, you still got that old university up there, and they've got the students. But they seem different. Now, the students, for a start, they've been getting younger.
In the 1970s, the university was a hotbed of radical thought, rebellion and free thinking.
And I do philosophy at university, which is the study of groups.
Fortunately, they calmed down a bit and some of them went on to run the country.
My research is based around the evaluation of marker-based knowledge extraction. In particular, the construction of domain-specific ontologies, which could then be combined with domain-independent sources such as WordNet or Psych. To evaluate these techniques, you adopt measures that are typically used to detect collocations. And yet, my whole modus operandi and working schedule is currently dictated by by this. Neither I nor my colleagues have yet been able to ascertain how to replace it. But we have established that its demise is preventing us from working, as it were, during those hours which are dark, or nighttime in layman's terms. My own office, for instance, is now in complete darkness for much of the winter. A recent seminar has failed, in popular parlance, to shed any light on this conundrum. To replace the extinct bulb would be to risk oversimplifying the situation. Ergo, I and 3 of my colleagues will be attending an international conference in Toronto next spring to try and establish a way forward vis-à-vis the prevailing difficulties.
Co-op? Oh, co-op. It's a wonderful bit of architecture.
Over there is the new houses. New houses, I mean, more houses, how many houses?